But still they came. Dozens. Hundreds. Sierra fought with everything she had. Her blade danced, fueled by rage and grief. Every strike was for her husband, for her people, for the life stolen from her. Ethan stood like a wall beside her, his weapon roaring, his fists striking when the gun ran low. Blood ran from a cut on his cheek, but he did not stop. The ground was littered with broken metal. The air burned with smoke. Still the machines marched. Sierra's arms ached, her legs shook. She felt herself slowing, drowning in the tide. "We cannot win," she cried. Ethan struck down another hunter, his face grim. "We don't win, we survive." Then the earth trembled harder. The trees split open. From the smoke stepped a machine larger than the rest, twice the height of a man, armored in black steel. Its eyes glowed brighter, red as fire. The commander. Sierra's blood ran cold. The smaller machine stopped, forming a circle around it. The forest fell silent again. The commander's voice was deep, mechanical, filled with hate. "You are insects. You cannot resist. Your people are gone. You are nothing." Ethan stood tall, his weapon raised, though its core was nearly empty. "Then you'll have to crush nothing with your own hands." The commander laughed, a sound like grinding gears. "Human, you were left behind. Even your kind abandoned you. And yet you fight? Why?" Ethan's voice was steady. "Because one life still matters. Because she matters." Sierra's breath caught. Her heart twisted. She looked at him, stunned. He meant her. The commander stepped forward, the ground shaking with each stride. Its blade arm rose high, glowing with heat. "Then you will die for her." It struck. Ethan pushed Sierra aside. The blow crashed into him, sending him sprawling across the ground. His weapon flew from his hand. Blood sprayed from his shoulder. Sarah screamed, rage exploding inside her. She charged the commander, her blade flashing. She struck again and again, sparks flying, steel clashing. But the machine was too strong. It swung its arm, throwing her to the ground. Pain shot through her body. She looked at Ethan, broken but still alive, trying to rise. His eyes met hers. Even through the pain, he smiled. "Fight," he whispered. Sierra gritted her teeth. The fire inside her burned hotter than fear, hotter than grief. She rose, blade in hand, fury screaming through her veins. The commander loomed over her. The forest held its breath. The final stand had begun, to be continued. The commander's blade arm swung down again, striking the ground with a force that split stone. Sierra rolled aside, the shockwave slamming into her chest. Dust and sparks filled the air. Ethan lay broken against a tree, blood soaking his torn armor. His weapon was gone, his strength fading. Yet his eyes still burned, fixed on her. "Fight," he whispered again, his voice weak but unyielding. Sarah's hands trembled around her blade. Her body ached, her breath ragged. Fear clawed at her, but another force rose inside her, fury, sharper than steel. She stood tall, her eyes blazing. "You killed my people. You betrayed my husband. You tried to take everything." The commander's red eyes glowed brighter. "Because you were weak. You are nothing." Her grip tightened on the blade. "No, I am still here, and as long as I stand, I am not nothing." With a scream, she charged. Her blade struck the commander's leg, sparks flying. The machine staggered but swung back, its arm cutting through the trees. Sierra ducked, rolled, and struck again, her fury driving her faster than she thought possible. Each memory fueled her strike. Her husband's smile, her people's laughter, her world's burning skies. And now, Ethan's broken body, his voice urging her to rise. The commander roared, metal grinding, but she refused to stop. She became the storm. "Die, insect," it bellowed, raising its blade arm high. At that moment, Ethan's weak voice cut through the chaos. "Now, Sierra, the trap." Her eyes shot to the ground. She saw it. The last explosive charge Ethan had buried, hidden beneath the soil near the commander's feet. Her heart raced. She dove forward, sliding across the dirt, and slashed her blade against the wire Ethan had placed. Sparks flew. The earth exploded. The blast consumed the commander's leg, fire tearing through steel. The giant machine fell to one knee, its roar shaking the forest. Sarah rose, her body trembling, her blade glowing hot with sparks. She climbed onto the commander's back, driving the weapon again and again into the cracks of its armor. With one final scream, she plunged the blade deep into its core. The commander's red eyes flickered, then dimmed. Its body collapsed, shaking, the ground, smoke rising into the sky. Silence followed. Sarah stood over the broken machine, her chest heaving, her body shaking. The army of hunters that surrounded the battlefield froze. Then, as if controlled by the commander's death, their red lights dimmed one by one. One by one they fell, lifeless. The forest grew still. The war machines were silent. Sarah dropped her blade, falling to her knees. Her body shook with exhaustion, tears streaming down her face. She had done it. They had done it. Her eyes turned to Ethan. He lay on the ground, pale, blood seeping through his armor. She crawled to him, her hands trembling as she touched his face. "No," she whispered. "Not you too. Not after all this." His lips curved into a weak smile. "Still alive?" "Barely." Her tears fell onto his cheek. "I cannot lose you. I have nothing else left." Ethan raised a trembling hand, brushing her tears away. His voice was faint but steady. "You're wrong. You have everything. You have tomorrow." Her chest broke with sobs. She gripped his hand tightly. "Don't leave me. Please. I begged the stars for one night of safety. But now, I beg for forever." His eyes softened, even through the pain. A faint smile spread across his face. "Forever if you'll have me." Sarah's heart stopped. The words echoed inside her, brighter than the fire, louder than the war. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Forever. Always." He closed his eyes, resting against her. "Then I'll fight. For that forever." She held him close as the sun rose. The first true dawn she had seen without fear. The light spilled across the forest, warming the broken battlefield. For the first time in years, Sarah didn't feel like the last survivor. She didn't feel like prey or a widow abandoned by fate. She felt human, alive, strong, and no longer alone. Together they stood at the edge of something new. The machines had fallen silent. The valley of survivors still waited somewhere beyond the smoke. The war was not over, but neither was their story. Sarah looked at Ethan, his hand still locked with hers. His body was weak, but his spirit blazed, brighter than the rising sun. She whispered to him, her voice steady now. "We walk forward, not back, never back." And as the forest bloomed with light, the widow and the human rose from the ashes. Two broken souls bound not by fear or loss, but by the promise of forever. The machines had tried to erase them, but in the end, they had done what no war, no betrayal, no death could stop. They had chosen to live. The end. The night was dark, but the sky burned red with fire. Towers had fallen. The ground was cracked. The air smelled of smoke and blood. She ran across the broken streets, her breath heavy, her heart beating like a drum. Her name was Sarah, once a wife, once part of a family. But now, she was the last. Behind her, sharp metal claws scraped the stones. The sound echoed, closer and closer. Red eyes searched through the ruins. Machines, cold, merciless hunters, followed her steps. They were built to finish what the war had started. Sarah stumbled inside the ruins of an old temple. The walls were broken, the roof open to the burning sky. She pressed her back against a shattered pillar, forcing herself to stay quiet. Tears filled her eyes, but she bit her lip and swallowed them. Crying made noise. Noise meant death. In the silence, she whispered to herself, I have no one left. No family, no home. Just one night of safety. That's all I beg for. The temple was cold, shadows stretching across the floor. She curled her arms around herself. The machines passed, outside their metal feet shaking the ground. She stayed still like a ghost hiding in stone. Hours felt like days. Her mind drifted. She saw her husband's face, the day he left for war. She remembered his smile, his promise that he would return, but he never did. The machines took him, as they took her city, her people, her world. Now she was just one widow, alone under a dying sky. A sudden noise broke the silence, a soft crunch, footsteps on broken stone. Not heavy like the machines, lighter, human. She held her breath. Her hand slid to the short blade strapped to her leg. The shadow moved closer. She rose. To her feet, blade in hand, eyes sharp. Out from the darkness stepped a figure, tall, strong, wearing strange armor, half broken, scarred with battles. His face was dirty, but his eyes were alive, full of fire. Sarah pointed her blade at him. Stay back, she hissed. The stranger lifted both hands slowly. His voice was calm, almost gentle. I'm not your enemy. She frowned. The voice was strange, the language rough. Yet she understood. Her people spoke of them long ago. Humans, travelers from the stars. But she thought they had all left. Why was one still here? You lie, she said coldly. Humans run. They don't stay. The man gave a tired smile. Maybe most do, but I was left behind. She studied him. His armor was cracked. His weapon was old. His body carried scars of war. He was no machine, that was true. But trust was dangerous. Why are you here? She asked. He lowered his hands, but his voice stayed soft. Looking for shelter, just like you. Sarah shook her head. Shelter means nothing. The machines will find us, they always do. He stepped closer, his boots crunching on stone. Slowly, carefully, he pulled something from his pack. A small package, wrapped tight. He tossed it gently toward her. It landed at her feet. Food. She stared. Her stomach tightened with hunger. She had not eaten in 2 days. But she didn't pick it up. Her eyes stayed on him. Why help me? The man shrugged. Because you're alive. And in this world, that means something. His words cut into her heart. Alive. Yes, but barely. And yet, he spoke like it mattered. Silence stretched between them. Sarah lowered her blade, but only a little. What is your name? The man wiped dirt from his face. Call me Ethan. Before she could answer, the ground shook. A terrible sound rolled across the ruins. Thump, thump, thump. Heavy footsteps. Machines. They were returning. Ethan's head turned sharply. His eyes narrowed. They're close. Sierra's fear returned like ice in her veins. She pressed her back to the wall, her blade shaking in her hand. They always come back, she whispered. Ethan looked at her, steady and sure. Then, we don't stay here. Run again, she asked bitterly. Until when? Until they finally catch us. Ethan's smile returned, but this time it was sharper, almost dangerous. No, not just run. Survive. The machine's red lights swept across the broken street outside the temple. Their voices were mechanical growls hunting for life. One beam of red light cut across the doorway. Sarah's breath caught. Ethan reached for his weapon, a strange human gun cracked with age but still deadly. He whispered, "Stay behind me." She wanted to protest, to say she needed no protector. But deep in her chest she felt something she thought had died with her people. Hope. The temple shook as the machines drew closer. The silence of the night broke with the sound of gears, claws, and metal voices. Sarah's blade was ready. Ethan's weapon hummed with power. The hunters were here. And in that moment, Sarah realized her night of safety had ended before it began. But maybe, just maybe, she was not alone anymore. To be continued. The temple walls trembled as the machines searched outside. Their red light swept through the cracks, bright like blood. The sound of claws dragged across stone, searching for her scent. Sierra stood frozen, her blade still in her hand. The human, Ethan, crouched low, weapon ready. His eyes stayed fixed on the doorway. He was calm, too calm, like a man who had seen this before. The machines paused. For one long breath, the world was silent. Then, as if called by some signal, they moved away. Their heavy feet faded into the distance, leaving only dust and broken stone behind. Sarah's heart beat fast, her throat dry. She turned on Ethan, her blade raised again. "You brought them," she accused. He shook his head. "No, they were already hunting. They don't stop. Not for me. Not for you." Her hands shook with anger and fear. She wanted to strike him, but deep inside she knew his words were true. The machines hunted everything alive. Still, she hissed, "Why should I trust you? You are not one of my people. You are human. My people spoke of your kind. You come from the stars, but you never stay. You leave others to die." Ethan met her eyes. His voice was firm. "Maybe some of us, but not me. I didn't leave. My ship was destroyed. My people thought I was dead. Now I live here, same as you. Hunted. Alone." His words sank into her like cold rain. Alone. She understood that word too well. Sierra lowered her blade a little. "If you live here, how have you survived? The machines destroy everything." Ethan's lips curved into a small smile. "Not everything. I know how they move. I know how they think. They follow patterns. And patterns can be broken." Sierra studied him. His armor was scratched, his weapon old, but his eyes burned with something she hadn't seen in a long time. Refusal. He refused to give. She wanted to laugh at him, to call him foolish. But a small spark lit inside her chest. The spark of curiosity. Ethan stood, moving slowly so she wouldn't think he meant harm. He looked around the ruined temple. "This place isn't safe. They'll search again. We need to move." Sarah shook her head. "Move where? The machines rule the city. Outside is worse." He tilted his head, listening to the night. "I know a place. Safer than here. Trust me." She almost said no. Trust was dangerous. Trust got people killed. But before she could answer, the sound returned. The machines were coming back. Ethan's jaw tightened. "No time." He reached out his hand. "With me or you die here." For a moment she hesitated. Her heart screamed not to trust him, but her legs moved on their own. She took his hand. His grip was strong, warm, alive. They ran through the broken streets. Fire burned in the distance, lighting their path. The machines howled behind them, their voices metallic and cruel. Ethan led her through hidden alleys, climbing over fallen walls, sliding into shadows. He moved with purpose, like a man who had memorized every path. Sierra followed, her lungs burning, her legs weak, but she did not stop. Finally, they reached the edge of the city. Before them stretched a dark forest, wild and untamed. The machines rarely entered here. Too many trees, too much silence. They slipped inside, hiding under the cover of thick branches. Sierra leaned against a tree, gasping for air. Her blade hung, heavy in her hand. Ethan crouched beside her, scanning the shadows. His weapon glowed faintly in the dark. After a long silence, he spoke softly. "You asked why I help you. The truth is simple. Alone, I die. With someone, maybe I live. Maybe we both do." Sierra looked at him, her chest still rising and falling, with heavy breaths. "So I am just your shield? Another piece in your survival?" He shook his head slowly. "No. You are more. You are proof." Her eyes narrowed. "Proof of what?" Ethan's voice grew quiet. "That life still matters. That not everything has been taken." The word struck her like an arrow. For so long she had believed life was nothing but pain. Now, hearing him say it, a strange warmth filled her chest. But before she could answer, a sharp sound split the night. A growl, not machine. Something alive. From the darkness of the forest, two glowing eyes appeared, then another pair, and another. Shadows moved between the trees. Creatures with teeth sharp as knives, their bodies twisted by war and hunger. Ethan raised his weapon. Not machines, he muttered. Worse. Sarah tightened her grip on her blade. Her heart raced again. Safety had been an illusion. This forest was alive with danger. The creatures crept closer, their eyes shining bright in the night. Sarah stepped back until her shoulder touched Ethan's. For the first time, she didn't feel entirely alone. Ethan's voice was steady. Stay close, we fight together. She almost laughed through her fear. Together? You don't even know me. He smiled faintly. I know enough. The first creature leapt from the shadows, its mouth open wide, rows of teeth gleaming. Sierra's scream caught in her throat as Ethan fired his weapon, the shot echoing through the forest like thunder. The battle had begun, to be continued. The night forest was alive with danger. Strange glowing eyes circled them, moving in the shadows. Sierra's hand gripped her short blade. Ethan's weapon hummed faintly, the barrel still smoking from the last shot. The first creature lay twitching on the ground, its chest burned open by his blast, but the others did not flee. They growled, teeth flashing in the dark, claws scraping against the trees. Hungry. Waiting. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. She whispered, We cannot fight them all. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then we don't. We run. Before she could reply, the creatures leapt forward. Ethan fired again, light cutting through the dark, striking another beast mid-jump. Sarah swung her blade, slicing into one that came too close. Its blood was hot and black, spraying across the leaves. Move, Ethan shouted. They turned and ran deeper into the forest. Branches whipped at Sarah's face. Roots tried to trip her. Behind them came the sound of claws, growls, and snapping jaws. The chase had begun. Sarah's lungs burned. Her legs screamed with pain. She had not run like this since the fall of her city. Yet something inside her refused to stop. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was the strange fire she felt when Ethan looked back to make sure she was still there. Keep going, he called. She pushed harder. The forest was endless. Shadows twisted around them. Every breath felt stolen. The creatures howled, the sound shaking the trees. Then suddenly the ground disappeared. Sarah skidded to a stop at the edge of a cliff. Below, a black river rushed through jagged rocks. We're trapped, she gasped. Ethan turned, firing again at the creatures as they closed in. His face was calm, but his eyes searched for something, anything. He pointed to a fallen tree that leaned across the chasm, forming a narrow bridge. Across. Now. Sarah's eyes widened. The tree was thin, wet, and shaking in the wind. One wrong step meant death. They'll kill us before we cross, she said. Ethan's voice was hard. Not if you trust me. Her heart pounded. Again that word. Trust. Dangerous. Deadly. Yet without it they had nothing. The first creature lunged. Ethan blasted it back, smoke curling from his weapon. He glanced at her sharply. Go! Sarah stepped onto the tree, her arms spread for balance. The river roared below, cold and endless. Every step felt like walking on air. Behind her, Ethan fired again and again, covering her. She reached the middle. The log shook. She froze, fear clawing at her chest. Don't stop! Ethan's voice carried through the night. Keep moving. She forced her legs to move, inch by inch, until finally her feet touched the other side. She collapsed onto the ground, gasping for air. Ethan was still on the tree, firing at the creatures as they gathered. One massive beast lunged onto the log, its claws digging into the bark. Ethan, Sarah cried. He fired, the shot blasting through its head, but the weight of the body made the log sway dangerously. Ethan struggled to keep his balance as he reached the other side. With one final leap, he landed beside her. The log cracked and fell into the river below, taking the dead beast with it. The remaining creatures howled in frustration, trapped on the other side. Sarah's body trembled with exhaustion. She looked at him, breathless. "You could have died." Ethan gave her a tired smile. "So could you." The forest grew quiet, again. Only the sound of the river remained, rushing in the darkness. For a long moment they sat side by side, catching their breath. Sierra's blade dripped with black blood. Ethan's weapon was nearly empty, the power core glowing weak. Finally, she spoke. "You knew the way. You saved us." Ethan shook his head. "We saved each other." She stared at him. His words stirred something deep inside her. She wanted to believe them, but belief was heavy, dangerous. Still, for the first time in years, she didn't feel like prey hiding in the shadows, but safety never lasted. A new sound rose through the trees. Not growls, not claws. Something colder. Mechanical. Sarah's stomach dropped. The machines. Ethan stood quickly, scanning the forest. Red lights flickered between the trees. The hunters had followed them. "Already?" she whispered. "How?" "They never stop," Ethan said. His voice was steady, but his face was grim. "Once they find a scent, they hunt until nothing is left." Sarah's knees weakened. She had thought the forest was escape. Now it was a trap. Ethan stepped in front of her, his weapon raised though it was nearly spent. His voice was low, firm. "Listen to me. We can't outrun them forever. But I know a place, a cave. If we reach it, we may live another night." Sierra stared at him. "Another night? That's all you can promise?" He met her gaze. "One night is better than none." The red lights grew brighter. The machines moved faster, their claws cutting through the dark. Sierra gripped her blade tightly, fear and fury twisting together in her chest. She thought of her husband, of her lost people. She thought of Ethan, still standing, still refusing to give up. Her voice was cold but strong. "Then show me this cave, and if the machines come, we fight together." Ethan nodded once. Together. They turned and ran again, deeper into the unknown forest, chased by monsters of metal and fire. The chase was not over. It had only just begun. To be continued. The forest was silent except for their running feet. Branches snapped. Leaves whispered. The red glow of the machines crawled behind them like fire in the night. Ethan pushed through the trees, guiding Sierra toward a hidden path. His breath was heavy, his weapon dim, but his steps never slowed. Sierra followed, blade ready, her chest burning with exhaustion. Every beat of her heart felt like a countdown to death. At last they reached a ridge of stone. A black opening yawned before them, half hidden by vines and roots. Ethan pointed. There, the cave. Sierra hesitated. Darkness spilled from the entrance like smoke. She hated the thought of walking into more shadows, but the machines were close. The choice was clear. Together they slipped inside. The air was cold and damp, thick with the smell of earth. The walls were rough, covered in marks from long ago. The sound of the forest faded behind them. For a few breaths, only silence remained. Sarah leaned against the wall, gasping for air. "We cannot keep running forever." Ethan checked his weapon, shaking his head. "I know. We need answers. We need something more than survival." Before Sierra could reply, a faint noise came from deeper inside the cave. A low hum, a whisper, of metal against stone. She froze, her blade rising. "We are not alone," she whispered. Ethan nodded, stepping carefully into the darkness. The glow of his weapon cast faint light across the cave walls. Then they saw it. At the far end of the cave lay a machine, not like the hunters outside. This one was broken, its limbs twisted, its eyes dim. Sparks flickered weakly across its body. It was still alive, but barely. Sierra's blood turned cold. Her instinct screamed to strike, to finish it before it could move. But Ethan raised his hand, stopping her. "Wait." The machine's head turned slowly, Its voice came out broken, words chopped by static. You should not be here. Sarah's blade trembled. She hissed, "It speaks." Ethan stepped closer, cautious but curious. "What are you?" The machine's eyes flickered red, then dimmed again. "I am Commander Unit. I saw the war. I know the truth." Sierra's heart pounded. "Truth?" The machine's voice crackled like a dying fire. "The war was not accident. It was not chaos. Your leaders betrayed you. They gave your world to the machines." Sierra staggered back as if struck. Lies! But deep in her chest, doubt twisted like a knife. Ethan's face stayed calm, though his eyes were sharp. "Why tell us this?" The machine's broken arm lifted weakly, pointing toward the forest outside. "Because the hunters come for more than you. Tomorrow, the last survivors will be destroyed. Your people will be nothing." Sarah's breath caught. She clenched her fists. "No. Some still live? Where?" The machine shuddered, sparks dancing across its body. "Hidden in the valley of smoke. But the enemy marches at dawn. You have one night." Ethan crouched, closer, his voice steady. "And why warn us? Why betray your own kind?" The machine's eyes dimmed. "Because I was betrayed too. I was left broken, forgotten. Machines do not forgive, but I remember. I want revenge." Sarah stepped forward, fury burning in her chest. "My husband, he died in your war. Was it your kind who killed him? Was it betrayal that took him from me?" The machine turned its dying gaze toward her. "Yes. He was sacrifice. Many were sacrifice. To make peace with machines, your leaders traded lives." Her knees weakened. Her blade slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor. She wanted to scream, to strike, to deny it. But the truth in the machine's broken voice was clear. Her husband's death was not just war, it was betrayal. Ethan's hand touched her shoulder, steadying her. His voice was low. "Now you know why we fight, not just to live. To take back what they stole." The machine's voice cracked one final time. "The hunters. They come. Leave now and or die here." Then its eyes went dark. Silence filled the cave once more. Sarah stood frozen, her chest tight, her mind burning with rage. Everything she thought she knew was broken. Ethan bent, picking up her blade. He placed it back into her shaking hand. "Hold it, you will need it." She looked at him, her voice trembling. "Why do you fight, human? You could hide. You could run. Why stay?" He met her eyes, steady and fierce. "Because running is not living. Because someone has to fight back. And now, so do you." From outside, the sound returned. The hunters. Their claws scraped against stone. Their voices echoed through the forest, growing louder. Sarah's fury hardened into steel. She wiped her tears, her grip tightening on the blade. "No more running," she whispered. Ethan's smile was grim. "Then we fight. Together." The cave walls shook as the machines closed in. Shadows stretched long across the stone. The enemy was coming, and the night was almost gone. To be continued. The cave shook with the sound of claws. The hunters were near, their red lights glowing through cracks in the stone. Sierra's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to fight, to run all at once. Ethan pulled her deeper inside, down a narrow passage. The air grew colder, the walls closing around them, until the path split open again. At the end, they found an exit hidden by thick vines. They burst out into the night. The forest here was different, quiet, dark, with tall trees shielding the sky. Ethan didn't stop. He led Sierra through shadows, crossing streams, climbing rocks, until the sounds of the machines faded into the distance. Finally, they reached a small clearing. A circle of stones, untouched by claws or fire, lay hidden under the canopy. Ethan dropped his pack. shoulders heavy with exhaustion. "This will do," he said, his voice rough but calm. Sierra stood still, her body trembling. For the first time, since the temple, she realized the night was silent. No hunters, no growls, only the whisper of leaves in the wind. Her legs gave out. She sank to the ground, her blade slipping from her hand. She pressed her palms to her face and whispered, "One night. I begged the sky for just one night of safety." Ethan crouched nearby, watching her quietly. He didn't speak. Not yet. Instead, he struck a small spark, lighting a fire in the circle of stones. Flames rose soft and warm, painting the night with orange light. Sierra lowered her hands, staring at the fire. It felt strange. She hadn't seen fire for comfort in years. Fire meant destruction, loss. But here, under the trees, it felt different. Almost alive, Ethan unwrapped the package of food from his pack. He offered half to her. She hesitated. Then slowly, she took it. The first bite nearly broke her. The taste was simple, dry, but her body craved it. Tears stung her eyes. Ethan watched. "When was the last time you ate?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "2 days, maybe 3. Time is broken for me." He nodded, saying nothing more. He ate his share quietly. The fire cracked softly between them. Sarah lifted her gaze, studying him. His armor was worn, scratched by battles. His face was tired, but his eyes, they still burned. "You fight like you have something to lose," she said. Ethan smirked faintly. "Or maybe something to gain." She tilted her head. "And what is that?" His eyes met hers across the fire. "Tomorrow." The word struck her. Tomorrow. She hadn't thought of it as real. For her, there was only night, only survival. But he spoke it like a promise. She lowered her gaze. "My people are gone. My husband. He was betrayed. The machine told me the truth. I have nothing left." Ethan's voice softened. "Not nothing. You're alive, and that matters." Her hands tightened around the food. "Alive for what? To run again? To hide? To watch the machines destroy everything?" Ethan leaned forward, his face lit by firelight. "Alive to fight. Alive to remember. Alive to prove they cannot take everything." His words dug into her chest. She wanted to reject them, but a strange warmth filled her instead. The silence stretched. The fire popped, sending sparks into the night. Sierra finally spoke again, her voice trembling. "I prayed to the stars tonight. I begged for one night of safety, just one. And here I am, with you." Her eyes lifted to his. The flames danced in them, reflecting something she hadn't felt in so long. Hope. Ethan smiled softly. "Maybe the stars listened." Sarah's breath caught. For a moment, the war, the machines, the betrayal, all of it felt far away. In this circle of firelight, she wasn't just a widow. She wasn't just prey. She was something else. Someone alive. Ethan reached into the firelight, his hand steady. His voice was quiet, almost tender. "Forever, if you'll have me." Sierra froze. The words hit her like a storm. She stared at him, her heart racing. Was he serious? Was this a joke in the middle of death and ruin? But no. His eyes held no mockery. Only truth. Her lips parted, but no words came. She looked away, afraid of the weight of that promise. The night held them in silence. The forest was calm, the fire warm. For the first time in years, Sierra felt something she thought had died with her husband. Not love, not yet. But the first seed of it, she whispered, almost too soft to hear. "If I say yes, there is no going back." Ethan's smile deepened. "Then don't go back, only forward." The fire burned low. The stars watched from above. Sierra sat beside him, closer than before. For one night, just one, the world outside faded. But dawn was coming, and with it, war. To be continued. The fire had died. Smoke curled into the pale dawn sky. Sarah opened her eyes to the sound of silence. Too much silence. The forest birds were gone. Even the wind had stilled. Ethan was already awake, crouched at the edge of the clearing. His weapon lay across his knees, his eyes sharp as steel. She rose slowly, her body stiff from sleep. What is it? He didn't look back. They're coming. Her heart froze. The machines? Ethan nodded. Not just hunters. An army. Thousands. Marching this way. Sierra's stomach twisted. The broken machine's warning echoed in her mind. At dawn, your last survivors will be destroyed. Ethan stood and slung his pack over his shoulder. His voice was calm. Too calm. We don't run this time. We make our stand here. Sarah stared at him stunned. Here? Against thousands? That's madness. He finally looked at her. His eyes were steady, full of fire. Madness is running, until they catch us. Madness is hiding until nothing's left. Here, we fight. Together. Her blade felt heavy in her hand. Fear clawed at her chest. But his words sparked something inside her, a defiance she thought she had lost. She swallowed, hard. Then how do we fight an army? Ethan's lips curved into a grim smile. With everything we have, and everything we don't. They worked through the morning. Ethan dug into his pack, pulling out wires, small charges, and pieces of old human tech. With stones, branches, and scraps from the forest, he built traps, pits, covered with leaves, trip lines strung between trees, hidden charges buried in the earth. Sarah watched him, amazed at his skill. He moved with purpose, every motion precise. She helped where she could, sharpening stakes, spreading the traps wider. At last, Ethan wiped the sweat from his brow. It won't stop all of them, but it will slow them. Sarah nodded. And the rest? He looked at her, his eyes fierce. That's where we stand. By noon the sound arrived. A distant thunder shaking the ground, the machines, thousands of metal feet marching in rhythm. The forest trembled. Sarah's breath came fast. She tightened her grip on her blade until her knuckles turned white. Ethan loaded his weapon, the core glowing faintly. Stay close, fight smart, don't let fear control you. She almost laughed. Fear is all I know. He gave her a sharp look. Then use it. Fear keeps you alive. The first wave of hunters broke through the trees, red eyes glowing, claws slicing branches apart. They moved in perfect unison, like shadows with steel skin. Ethan fired. The blast struck the first machine, tearing it apart. Sarah leapt forward, her blade flashing, cutting into the nearest one. Sparks sprayed as it collapsed. The traps exploded. Pits swallowed machines whole. Charges ripped through their ranks. The forest shook with fire and smoke.